Hi everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Days Podcast along with a new video. So this is episode 50. We have made it. Thank you so much for watching. I really and truly appreciate it, and listening as well. Like and subscribe. I see every single one of you, and I'm very humbled. Today we are going to talk about Thriller by Michael Jackson. I talked about Off the Wall and was very distinctive on just Off the Wall because we didn't get to Thriller yet. We're here now. We will talk about every album from Michael, as opposed to other series of albums that we will be talking about for individual artists and giving our input. So, as far as Patreon, yes, I have a Patreon. You guys can check it out for deep dives and exclusive talking where I am able to dig more into certain things. Because as far as with YouTube, I want to make sure that I'm not like, I know that people go on here for clickbait and alleged and all that other stuff. Like, I want to be able to do that and have a just have time with y'all in a sense where you're not looking at YouTube and being like, oh well, he has to dim down a few things, and it's like, no, I want to be able to talk with you guys and really have a conversation, and why not have it just exclusively just for me and you guys? We can comment, talk, chat. We can make up suggestions on what more to talk about, so we can make it a thing. And I am going to be putting out Patreon videos very soon. So I have a few goals, don't worry. So yes, let's talk about it. So this is his 6th studio album, which was released November 29th in 1982. So that's over 40 years ago, guys. Okay? Just want to put that in mind. So he started to record in April of 82, and the ending process was pretty much a few weeks before the album release. So it was produced by Quincy Jones, who had previously worked with Jackson on Off the Wall. So from the success, like we've talked about, in Off the Wall, Michael was at a point where it's like, what am I going to do now? Because whatever it is, it's going to be better than this. And he was on it. And so he also worked with Quincy into Bad as well. So we're going to talk about Bad. Don't worry, we're going to talk about Bad. Because Bad, he was touring at 30. I'm going to be 30. And as of the next video, maybe 30 already. So, as far as just like, he created an album where every song was a killer. With the ongoing backlash against disco music at the time, he moved in a new musical direction, resulting in a mix of pop, post-disco, rock, funk, synth pop, and R&B sounds. So he wanted to dive into a little bit of everything. And let's not forget, he country. So that was the icing on the cake. Okay, so and I'm gonna say this because in the midst of this album, yes, his skin tone from vitiligo was changing, and he was doing his best to make sure pigments weren't exposed as much, but it couldn't be helped. And so when I talk about the Bad album, yes, we will, in the deep dive, get into just what this man really went through, and it was a lot. So yeah, as far as with it foreshadows themes of Jackson's personal life as he began using a motive of paranoia and darker themes. Paul McCartney appears on The Girl Is Mine, the first credited appearance of a featured artist on a Michael Jackson album. And yeah, with the budget of almost $1 million, but $250,000, So it was recorded in Los Angeles. It was an expensive album, and yes, 42 minutes, but it was expensive, child. Thriller became Jackson's first #1 album, where it spent a record 37 non-consecutive weeks at #1, from February 26, 1983 to April 14th, 1984. So the thing is, back then, and this is something that still can play a role in today's age, because they don't really want to admit it, but it can still happen. But albums at times didn't always debut at #1. After a while, boom, #1. So it can happen in this day and age where it's like people may have listened in the beginning, then they go back and it's like, oh my God, I really love this song. I don't know what made me not listen to it enough, but I really love this song. And then boom, there's all these streams. And so the thing is, yes, we see it in today's artists where they're getting billions of streams for whichever song, platinum hit, diamond hit. But you say to yourself, it's not that it's not organic, but when you really think about, okay, the power of a few songs made it so it can go a certain way. Imagine on a whole album. And that's what it was with this, where every single song was able to be sold a way that it was able to convey, and no one was able to really see it like that, in such a the way that it was and still is to this day, because it is the best-selling album of all time. I won't say that more than 3 times, but I will say yes, it is the best-selling album of all time. And the reason why it's the best-selling album of all time is because with 32 million copies sold worldwide by the end of 1983, it became also a world record for February 7th, 1984. It was the best-selling album of 1983 worldwide, and in 1984 it became the first album to become the best-selling album in the United States for 2 years. That's a legend. So he ate up 83 when this album was able to cross into 83. Oh, he ate this album up, and into 84. And mind you, singles were coming out, but at times when he, was making sure they would listen. When you look at the singles, the first one is The Girl Is Mine. That's before the album drops, and everyone's like, oh my God, Paul McCartney? The Girl Is Mine. Oh, what? Are you serious? He is on this track? This is legendary. And, with Billie Jean coming on after the album is dropped, it's like, okay. There's moonwalking. Wherever he walks, it lights up. He's dressed. Oh, and by the way, yes, he loved Disney. Before this album dropped, he, very much was at Disneyland and enjoying himself, as he should at a very young age. And we all loved Disney. So, as far as with it set industry standards with its songs, music videos, and promotional strategies, influencing artists, record labels, producers, marketers, and choreographers. The success gave Jackson an unprecedented level of cultural significance for a Black American, breaking racial barriers in popular music, earning him regular airplay on MTV, and leading to a meeting with U.S. President Ronald Reagan. Now, politics we can get into too. I have yet to make a politics video, but we can get into that on the Patreon, because when it comes to YouTube, I'm it's not that I don't want to talk about politics. I want to make sure that I have precise information. So, don't expect too many politics videos. There's just a lot going on, and the last thing I need is y'all just having videos of me just being like, all right, so this is what happened, this is what happened, this is what happened, as opposed to taking in the information, understanding why it's happening in such a way, And personally, we can all talk together. We don't need to just indulge in such where, you know, there's just a way that when you want to be able to look at things, it's not so much just one way. And from all the videos, as it being 50 now, you guys have seen, like, I'm very unbiased. I will be keeping it real and continuing to keeping it real. And that's just me. I love being able to look at things from all aspects and know the truth within it. But yes, Thriller was among the first albums to use music videos as promotional tools. The videos for Billie Jean, Beat It, and Thriller are credited for transforming music videos into a serious art form. So yeah, back in the day, you know, people would make music videos, they'd have certain scenes and it would be random, and then this man right here made storylines with collaborators and really took in a story with the song, and it really changed things drastically for his peers and those after, because you say to yourself, okay, when you look at Beat It, this man is in bed, he dressed, he go out, and he's seeing people fighting or about to fight with the knives. He said, wait a minute, no. We're not doing any of this. We're not doing any of that. We're not doing any of that. We're dancing. We're gonna have peace. And if you don't like it, you need to go. Oh Lord, yes. We would, like, this is just, that's my take of it. You know, everyone has a different take, but I just said to myself, like, from the way the album begins until it ends, it's no skips. No skips. At all. No. Are you serious? Thriller is the best selling album of all time, having sold between 70 to 100 million copies worldwide. It is the best-selling non-compilation album and second best-selling album overall in the US, and was certified 34 times by the Record Industry Association of America in 2021. It won a record-breaking 8 Grammy Awards at the 1984 Grammys, including Album of the Year, Best Pop Vocal Performance, Male. Beat It won 2 Grammys for Record of the Year and Best Rock Vocal Performance for Male. And Billie Jean won 2 Grammys for Best R&B Vocal Performance, Male, and Best Rhythm and Blues Song. Jackson also won a record-breaking 8 American Music Awards at the 1984 American Music Awards. The album has been a frequent inclusion in lists of the greatest albums of all time. In 2008, it was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. In the same year, the Library of Congress added it to the National Recording Registry of culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant recordings. So it's just the best album of all time. You just don't not know it. You know this song, you know this album, you're just here. He broke barriers that needed to be broken all around, because there's so many different artists that, whether they may not look up to him, they have a sense of what they want to do. And creatively, back before Michael made this album, there wasn't always like a storyline to videos. There wasn't a piece to a puzzle with the song, as opposed to it being performed live a certain way. You know, he really brought out the theoretics. That it wasn't just, all right, the mic's standing here, dance a little bit, you know, get them into it. He wasn't, no. This man was over by this side of the stage, then came back to this side of the stage and hopped up for the beginning and stood for a good minute. Like, he was a big deal and is still to this day. But yeah, when Jackson turned 21, he, you know, he wanted to be the biggest and wealthiest star in show business. Yeah, that's what he wanted to tell him. He was upset about what he perceived as the underperformance of Off the Wall, feeling it had deserved the Grammy Award for Record of the Year. So at that time, the years between Off the Wall and Thriller were a transitional period for Jackson. Like I said, a time of increased independence. And we all kind of go through that in different times of our lives, some earlier than others. And you say to yourself, at such a big magnitude of where he was going, what do you do? Because Off the Wall is great, but he was like, no, they don't think this is great. I have to prove more. The period saw him become deeply unhappy. Jackson said, even at home, I'm lonely. I sit in my room sometimes and cry. It's so hard to make friends. I sometimes walk around the neighborhood at night, just hoping to find someone to talk to, but I just end up coming home. So, it's not that people weren't loving Off the Wall and he wasn't doing so great. It was like, all right, you did this movie, you did this great album, now what? And at that time, you know, yes, the 70s going into the 80s, people were still cutthroat in the music. And they were like, all right, you did great, come back. Like, what? Did you not hear me? Just don't stop till you get enough. I can't help it. She's out of my life. This isn't enough. And to be honest with you, it even comes from a place from childhood where you say to yourself, I sung ABC. I want you back. Oh yes, I'm taking it all the way there. Yes, he did. Yeah, that's what I would feel if I'm walking at nights on end and feeling uncomfortable, because it's like, it's not that I don't have money, it's not that I can't make friends, but there's not so many people I would want to trust. And in your early 20s, that's serious. That's real serious. And not everyone in their early 20s thinks that deep. Let's be all the way real. There's people that in their 30s will get that far and be like, all right, you know, where's my life going? I'm gonna see me out, and you don't gotta worry about that, y'all. 30 is not changing what 29 has done for me, what 28 and before has done for me. I am very much here at whatever age I am here, period. So, like I said, as far as with, it comes to how he was feeling coming into making Thriller, it was serious. Like, so you say to yourself, yeah, this is 1979, where he's like, I want to hire a manager and just see where things can go. Like, I want to do more than what I just did, because they're not seeing me yet. They're not seeing what I see, and I'm gonna make them see what I see. And it's something, because like I said, with Ben and Got to Be There and I Want to Be Where You Are, you mean to tell me this album wasn't enough for a Record of the Year? You know, that, and I'm saying this in a collaborative sense, where it's like he would want just as much success for every individual that can achieve it, though it is a competition. So it's just like, you know, thinking of being a lead singer, like any other lead singer in a group, because, you know, even those that would be like lead with lead, you gotta say to yourself, well, what can I do individually that people would feel like, damn, this hit, you know? So it's very understandable. And he gave more than a decade with his brothers. So it's just like, I'm alone now. I'm grown. What else I gotta do? But we'll get into that. He also felt undervalued by the music industry. In 1980, when Rolling Stone declined to run a cover story on him, Jackson responded, "I've been told over and over that black people on the cover of magazines doesn't sell copies. Just wait. Someday those magazines are going to be begging me for an interview. Maybe I'll give them one, and maybe I won't." This man was fueled with so much. Just for his next album, Jackson wanted to create an album where every song was a killer. He was frustrated by albums that would have one good song and the rest were B-sides. Why can't every one be a hit song? Why can't every song be so great that people would want to buy it if you could release a song, a single? That was my purpose for the next album. So he really wanted every single song individually to hit, and he did that. And I feel like that's probably why the album was so small. So yeah, the lyrics, they talk about, see, wanna be starting something climaxes into an African inspired chant as Swahili that actually symbolize syllables based on Douala, giving the song an international flavor. So yeah, like he brought it black right when it started. Right when it starts. He wanted the people to know, as you're gonna get into this album, you're gonna just love it, but I'm black. And yes I am. No matter what happens. He said that. He wanted to make sure he said that. And just with that, just with that opening song, just with that alone, like from here on out, if Off the Wall didn't let y'all know, even from my previous albums, with and without my brothers, if those did not let y'all know, this will. Thriller foreshadows the contradictory themes of Jackson's later works. With Thriller, Jackson began using a motive of paranoia and darker themes, including supernatural imagery in the title track. This is evident of the songs Billie Jean, Wanna Be Starting Something, and Thriller. So it's just the release, and even down to just the lyrical content. They could not deny all of what he was able to say in so little tracks. Like, so, not little tracks, but I'm saying like, there wasn't so many tracks. And I have the cassette tape. I do. It's a little smudgy, but it's like a beige color. So anyone that knows about that cassette tape from back then, they know. And yes, there's about 4 or 5 tracks on one side, and then the other is the rest, because there's 9. So I believe there's 5 tracks on, if it's not 5 tracks, it's 4 tracks on one side and then 5 on the other. So that's how I know, and that's how you know I'm a real fan, because and then if it's 5 tracks on one side and then 4 on the other, then that would mean that no, because I think Thriller ends that part 1, and then you go right into Beat It on the, yes, so it's 4 tracks on one side and then 5 on the other. Yep. That's how I remember it. Yep. So yes, let's look into the tracks here. Let's see what we know this album for, because it was reissued, of course, for anniversaries throughout the years, and I'm very appreciative of the bonus tracks that we didn't get to hear. And there's many more tracks out there, well, not out there, but I'm saying that are, you know, in the vault. But Wanna Be Starting Something, the first track, he wrote it, and it's 6 minutes long, so it's you know, giving a similar feel to how Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, where it's that long, and yeah, why not? And he said, like, there's just so much that he says in that song, and it gets you up, it gets you moving, and just to get you moving. Baby Be Mine, that is a personal favorite, one of my personal favorites, because there's so many favorites I have from Michael, but that's one of my personal favorites. It's a B-side, of course, which I feel could have had more, people could have loved it a little bit more. Like, it's all that time. It's just and he was really going through it. As long as we believe in love. Like, you'll get me singing around here. But yeah, he did so well. He did so well. Show me how it should be. I'm sorry. Say you're thinking of me. Oh my God. He says it. He says, he just, so much is, he's just very cohesive. Oh my goodness. Yes, The Girl Is Mine, which was the first single. Now, that was very well for him, because he worked with Paul McCartney before. I'm not sure if it was before this or after. May have been right in the midst. But, you know, saying, and listen, get into his music, please. Thriller. Like, so the thing is, with, not to go over with The Girl Is Mine. The Girl Is Mine is very sweet. It's very serenading. And I love the fact that he had a duet. Mine. Yeah, see, I didn't want to let y'all go and no. I know the songs. And then when it comes to Thriller, yes, that song is just as long as Wanna Be Starting Something. Theoretics from beginning to end. Like, you are in the thriller. Like, you're in the moment of things. It's just everything. It's close to midnight, and in all honesty, it actually is from doing this recording. I'm sorry, but yeah, no, it just resonating with the album. But yeah, the way that the videos shape everything. So when you get this far into the album, the first video, of course, would be Thriller, and then Beat It and Billie Jean. So those 3 tracks, you know, will, of course, those were the 3 tracks that had videos. So with Thriller, of course, a very legendary video. So much going on. He's just giving constant choreography, makeup, just ghoulish, just listen, going off. And Beat It that's the rock anthem for him, you know, in the beginning of his career, where it's just like, you know, I'm gonna have a guitar in here. We've had some, we gonna dip into some guitaring, and I'm gonna be screaming. I need some ad-libs going on. I need to make sure that they know what I'm talking about with this song. And with Billie Jean, same thing. They told stories that we still know to this day. And Billie Jean is not mine. Yeah, so the moonwalk. In the midst of all this going on, you know, just he knew he wanted to make a mark in the world, and he wanted to do it right. And with Human Nature, that's my favorite song. I have favorites, but that's like my favorite. Like, if you ask me, like, what's your favorite song from Michael? That one. Well, he's written other songs. I know. It's not often that you hear an artist who has written thousands of songs convey a song that was, as it's documented, for someone else. So it gives you that passion and that feel of the fact that, wait a minute, imagine if someone else was to do that exact song and it wasn't him. Would that be human nature? Or would it just be human nature in the midst of that artist? You know what I mean? So I appreciate that song, not just because it was a song that was the last piece of the puzzle, because originally we was gonna get Carousel. We was gonna get a whole different song, and there's the album. And when you look at Pretty Young Thing and how that comes in, and then you have The Lady in My Life, where it's just really chill. It's just ding 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 ding. Just there'll be no. Oh, listen, don't get me. Oh my God. So it's just, out of all those songs I just talked about. So yeah, with Pretty Young Thing, you know, he goes off. He goes off, and I'll take you there. Yeah. Instead of I'll be there, I'll take you there. See, that's how you knew he was grown. He went from I'll be there to I'll take you there. Okay, I'm grown now. I'll be there is very friendly and companion. I'll take you there is friendly companion, and we doing some things in the midst of that because we got a lot going on, and I want to relieve. It's like, no, but you guys know what I mean. He was letting us know that he is a mature man now. He is grown. And yeah, when I think of human nature, before I even talk about The Lady in My Life, that was the piece to the puzzle. That really was the balance to me for the album, because you say to yourself, we have The Girl Is Mine, which is very much serenading, but it's more, you know, it's so you think of that, and he wrote that. Michael wrote that. I would never not love that song. So so this is the thing. So like I said, when it comes to human nature, I think of the artistry where it's just like, that couldn't have not been his song. And this is what this song was a top 10 hit. It just didn't have a video. And that's what makes me love it even more. Because what do you mean y'all didn't give him enough time to make this video? And I know that's how people felt with the rest of the album. Why couldn't it just been a whole visual album? We're getting those nowadays. Never mind what Prince did. So it's just, and that was after. So it's just, like I said, I just, and that was a soundtrack, by the way, even though it became an album, and is an album as well. I'm not going to say it's not an album. It's definitely an album to me and a soundtrack. We'll talk about Prince too, because he's a Gemini and it's Gemini season. Like, I'm not going to not talk about my gems. We are actually going to do a fan appreciation, not just for him, but for Lauren and a few other Geminis. Yes, we will talk about it. So, like I said, it just was the piece of the puzzle for me. Like, they're just keeping him around. Just no. You're not gonna tell me that would have been for somebody else. There's just a way he did it that he just claims it. Like, it's his. That's his. It's written from somebody else, but it's his song. You know what I mean? Like, there's an understanding that I see, and I feel like what people don't understand when it comes to writers, as opposed to the artist that is singing and doing the vocals, this is a partnership. This is teamwork. And yes, it's great to do it alone, because with Beat It and Billie Jean, he did those alone. Though, when you have an unbiased mind, which is what I seen with this song, where, okay, it wasn't something that was expected to happen, but it's happening. And we're gonna see how it goes. And there's takes of him doing the song over and over, and each time it's different, and you say to yourself, wow, they had to take different takes, could put it into one, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I would be, at that time, I probably would be just going through it if there was more ad-libs that they just felt like, all right, well, here's the extended version, because we've seen people make extended versions. I love extended versions of a lot of things. Maybe there is an official extended version, but I just, that's the lady in my life, you know, even if that was to get an extended version, it may have one. There's so many vocals that are now being able to be heard from him over time, and they're appreciated, especially by me. But yeah, the lady in my life, he's singing, "You are the lady, don't you go nowhere." Just he's missed. He's so missed. And when you say to yourself, this was November 29th, 1982, and he was born in 58, he's 24. And 24 is a big deal by the time you're going into 25, because you're like, all right, like, I'm really grown now. Like, I'm out here. I'm making something out of myself in some way. But he did it in such a very, very big way, and it's not unnoticed. Yes. Christopher Connolly wrote that Jackson was now singing in a fully adult voice that was tinged by sadness. Ooh. You know what? So this is my thing. Jackson's abilities as a vocalist were well regarded. All music described him as a blindingly gifted vocalist, likened his vocals to the breathless, dreamy stutter. Stevie Wonder wrote that, that's the comparison of Stevie Wonder, and wrote that Jackson's feathery, timbred tenor is extraordinarily beautiful. It slides smoothly into a starting falsetto that used very daringly. Yeah. He knew where he wanted to mix, how he wanted to sing, how he wanted to play instruments, how he wanted to make sure all of these things that were thoughts that he was able to pinpoint right. He wanted to be able to put it out the best way he did, and I'm grateful. But yes, as far as charting, it was very much #1, as I told y'all. The UK loved it. Billboard 200, R&B, hip hop loved it. Just Australia loved it. Canada loved it. Austria loved it. Germany said 2, but that's all right. Japan said 6. But see, Japan, was like, wait a minute now. It was a big deal, because at that time, there wasn't so many people that crossed over for whatever race, because everyone had their favorites, and it ain't too much different now. Okay, like I said, I keep it real. Netherlands loved it. New Zealand said 2. But yeah, oh no, they were loving this album, and it's still charting to this day. It's just never gonna not chart. I make sure I thoroughly listen to it. But yeah, guys, let's see. Decade end in Japan, it went to #2. It was in #3 by the end of the decade for the UK. Australia was #3 as well. All all-time chart performance for Thriller from 1983 until 2015. It has still been able to go to number 3, even after all these years. Yeah, it's diamond and platinum and gold and all the, just everywhere. UK is 15 times platinum. Like, everybody loved this man and still do. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I really appreciate all of what you guys have been able to view from me. And yes, for the 50th episode, why not talk about a legendary album, the best album of all time, from someone that very much I appreciate, as I made a fan appreciation video. And of course, his life was cut short at 50. He was going on 51. So why not dedicate my 50th episode to the best-selling album of all time, to Michael Jackson. All right, so thank you guys for watching and listening, and I'll be back with